IM stands for diminished. And that's a different kind of chord than the majors and the minor chords. Let's just compare all the sounds now so you can really hear why they have a different name. The 1, the 4, and the 5 all had this kind of sound. Right? They all share the same construction. 1 major third, perfect fifth. 1 major third, perfect fifth. 1 major third, perfect fifth. The 2, the 3, and the 6 chord all had a similar construction. And that was this: 1 minor third, perfect fifth. Those are called minor chords because they have a minor third. Okay, there's a naturally occurring minor third between these notes here. Okay, and then finally, on the 7th chord right here, we have this kind of a chord. We have a root, a minor third, and what's called a flat 5. Not a perfect fifth, but a flatted fifth. That F is a naturally occurring flat 5 right there. Okay? So that is the system of harmony that all the progressions I've been writing on the board have been utilizing. So when I talk about a chord progression and I say we're going to play a 2-5-1, what I'm talking about is a progression that's from a key that's going to involve the 2 chord, going to the 5 chord, going to the 1 chord. And that makes it easy to talk about music with other musicians and in terms that everybody understands, and also can be transposed, meaning you can put it into a different key right away. That's what's good about understanding music theory. Okay? Now, the other reason we want to understand music theory, one of the many reasons, is because I just introduced a major scale, 3 of them over here. I talked about how to harmonize the scale right here, but now we're going to have more harmony for the chords, right? These chords that we learned, these are great chords, but they're just triad chords, okay? So how do you get more sophisticated chords? Well, it's really simple if you understand this chart back here, because all I have to do now to create more extended harmony is to stack one more note on top of these stacks of thirds, okay? So check this out. We have a root, we have a third, we have a fifth. We can stack one more note from the scale that was over here on top. And what happens now, we're going to have what we call full 7th chords. Okay? So I'm going to stack one more third above every one of these chords. Right? And that changes the complexity of the chords. They become a little bit more colorful, richer again, right? So instead of having a C tri that just sounds like this, right, now with that extra stack of a note from the scale over here, you hear the color is a little bit more sophisticated with the major 7th. That's what that is. That's a root, 3rd, 5th, and this is a major 7th. Okay, so check it out. It's not just a C major chord anymore. It's a C major 7. Okay? And the D minor chord that was simply 1 minor 3rd 5th, now with the added C on top, becomes a C minor 7th. This is a minor 7th in the scale now, instead of the first chord that had the major 7th. So now you're going to see that same formula or that same construction on the 2 chord, 3 chord, and the 6 chord. They all become minor 7ths, right? They all have this kind of sound. And this. Now you'll notice the fingering that I'm using for the chords is kind of awkward looking. It's only because I'm showing you it so you can understand the harmony of it. I don't have to play the voicing that way. I can play it other ways so it's not so awkward. Okay, these are called voicings, different kinds of voicings. Okay, now when we get to the 4 chord, once again, we had a triad before, but when we add a 7th above, right there, that E becomes the major 7th of the chord, and that creates a more sophisticated 4 chord. And then finally, when we get to the 5 chord, when we add the 7th of the scale, what happens here? We've got 1 major third, perfect 5th, but we have what's known as a flat 7th. Okay, now the flat 7 is different than the other kinds of 7ths we had. It's the flat 7 or minor 7th was common to the minor chords right here. But this is a major triad with a flat 7. So it's 1 major third, perfect 5th, and flat 7. Okay? So that created not G major any longer, but G7. Okay? That's a very important and unique chord. It's only one of them in the scale. It's a dominant 7th. And then the last chord had the root, the minor third, the flat 5, but once again, it also had a flat 7. So instead of calling it B diminished like we had before, 1 minor third, flat 5, now with a flat 7 in it, it's called B diminished 7th. So we can just add the 7th there. So now we have 7th degree harmony happening. And that just makes our ability to have progressions a little bit more, to make them more colorful and more rich sounding. So instead of having progressions like this, that's fine, there's nothing wrong with that progression. We could also have this. This is a 7th chord. This is a dominant 7th chord. This is a major 7th chord. Okay, so there's just a little bit more color to these kinds of chords. And the reason I'm showing you all that is because along with our major scale over here, I want to show you chords that fit nicely with the major scale. Okay, so all I'm going to do now is take a couple of chords that we already knew. Right, here's one of the chords that we knew a moment ago. Or, we've learned it in the early lessons. It came from this chord, open string chord, okay? And, well, I'll just show you even from the open string. If you took the open C chord that we played in the very first lesson and you just took your first finger off the root, you're creating the 7th that you need to make it a major 7, right? If you took the open A chord, and you took the root right here, right in this chord, and dropped it down a half step, now you have an ability to make that a 7th chord right here. So there's the root. We've already got a root right here, the open string, but now because we added the 7th here, right, we have a major 7th. And you can even add the E on top, and it's a nice open E. And then you've got a C, you've got an A major 7th. Okay? Okay, let's get back to the form that we were using here. Okay, if we want to make an immovable chord, like we have in the past, we've just brought the whole chord up and barred right here. But we want to make it a 7th chord. All we're going to have to do now is just release our second finger to the 7th right here. This is the root, as we know, but if we release the bar down to here, now we've got basically a great major 7th. So now we had a major triad before, now it's a major 7th. Okay, so now we're getting richer chords that are going to help us with our scales. Okay, finally down here, we had a minor chord that we've used as a bar chord like this that originated from an open minor chord like that. We created a bar chord by moving it up and using a bar. Okay, so F sharp would be right there, but we only have a triad. We only have basically, even though I'm holding 6 notes, I'm doubling, 3 roots. I've got 3 of the same note right here. So what I'm going to do is get rid of one of the roots, and I'm going to drop it down and let the flat 7 come out. And that's what I did. I'm going to get rid of this note right here, and I'm just going to let the flat 7 right here ring through. In fact, I can even let the root up here ring. So this is basically a bar. And now it's F sharp minor 7. Okay? So now I have a progression that you'll see when you download the progressions from the lessons. You'll see a progression that now, instead of just being triads and basic in color, you're going to have colors like this. You can hear the difference. It's a little bit more colorful. It has a little bit more of a jazzy R&B feel to it, where before we had just triads. Okay? So let's take a listen to that one more time. 4. I'm just kind of playing a loose style rhythm. A little bit more jazzy sounding. But definitely, totally diatonic and sounds great. Now here's the scale, check it out. There's the 7th degree. Okay, so wasn't that great? Right? I just added 2 notes to my scale, and this whole scale and the whole ability to play melodies has become richer just in those simple 2 notes. Okay, so that's what we've learned today. We've learned major scales, we've learned the harmony behind major scales, we've learned some new chords, and we've learned a new progression. All right, so why don't you chew on that for a while, and I'll see you next lesson. All right, thank you.